I like Mayo, but I don't know if I like him enough to go through losing Belichick. Welcome back to the Old Bull and Young Calf Boston Sports Podcast. And we are on episode 22 here, which means we are now in the position to do a flashback episode. It's been 22 weeks. A lot has happened. An entire NFL season has happened. My dad is going to give us a bit of a rundown on what we have today. But I do have one thing to say. I got my Bruins jersey on, a bit of an ode to the Bruins fans who watched this. I'm sorry that we left you out last week. Dad, let them know that they're going to be here this week and what else we got for them.
Yeah, we're going to make up for it. We do have some Bruins talk, but first we are going to start with the Patriots. When it comes to predictions, the old bull and young Cav, he's been Castradamus. I've been Bolstradamus. But when it comes to the Patriots, we were absolutely god awful. Except my one prediction that Mayo would be the next coach, and that
Yes.
came true. So we're going to talk about first up his hiring. It's official, how we feel about it, and I have another big prediction of what is ahead for them. So stay tuned for that. And then number two, we have a big development with the Celtics. Don't want to spoil it, so I'll let you know what our thoughts on that. After that, NBA set them up for failure against the Bucks. They've been back to being the Celtics, and there's other good news to share about them as well. Then we are going to hit on the Bruins. We've got a little taste of what it would be like for Swayman to be the number one guy, and it's been pretty nice. He's been getting better with each game, so we'll discuss that. Then we have our basement WilgsBasementBets, and he came through his lock of the week. So see what he has this week for us in the next round of playoff games in the NFL. And then segment number five, we're going to bring the embarrassment. We're going to bring the shame. We're going to look back at some of our 90, 50, 10 predicaments and can't even do it right. Our 90, 50, 10 predictions and see how epically bad they were and just kind of have a laugh with ourselves, laugh at ourselves. So here we go, Matt. Start us off.
All right. So segment number one, like my dad said, and full disclosure, I got a bit of a fever right now. I'm not feeling 100%, so I'm not as sharp as I usually am. So sorry for any bad takes here. I wish could say I had this fever early in the season when I was doing my 90, 50, 10s, but I did not, and those were horrible. So sticking to the script here, the Patriots signing Mayo. We talked about this last week. My dad has been talking about this for quite some time. And I will try and throw a clip at some point in this podcast of him saying that. I think in our second or third episode.
God, let's hear the sure thing that you have.
It's a solid theory. I mean, it makes sense. It's just not going to happen because 100% take it to the bank. Gerard Mayo will be the next coach of this team. He actually was going to get offers to be a head coach elsewhere, and he came back to the Patriots for the same position. He's not even calling defensive plays. So I'm sorry. That is basically Kraft telling him, I guarantee you, you stay with us, you're the next coach of the team.
So here we are. We've now fired Bill Belichick, and it's strange. It's almost as if we changed the curtains, but we're still living in the same house with the same furniture and everything like that. My biggest fear, and I saw somebody mention this on Reddit, was that the Crafts really believe that they are the special sauce. And this move of hiring Mayo, I think, really affirms the fact that they think their poop doesn't stink. And as long as they're involved, everything's going to be okay. And that's really scary to me because I don't think that, I don't, I'm happy about Gerard Mayo, but I just don't think that it's worth getting rid of Belichick to keep this much of Belichick's kind of hive mind, right? We let the best coach in football history go, and we replace them with a wannabe best coach in the history of football. Um, I don't want to poo-poo Mayo. The players are super high on him. Everyone's kind of excited. I loved him as a player. He was one of my favorites growing up, but I really wish we went for more change. I really don't like the comments and the decision making around our GM situation, and among a few other things. I've heard Kraft mention that they're just going to kind of let things happen, and see where it goes. And they might hire somebody right now. The hiring process might go all the way through until the draft pick, and that's just a nightmare to me. And it's I appreciate the Crafts for everything they do outside of being an owner, but this scares me that we're going down a path when it comes to their football decision making that might make them a bit of a enemy in that sense. Dad, any thoughts on my take right there?
I mean, I mostly agree with you, but I'll say this about the old man. You know what? He's 2 for 2. He brought in Pete Carroll, and it didn't go great, but it was still wasn't horrible. And then he brought in Belichick, so brought in, I mean, actually Parcells too. You know, okay, all three coaches didn't lead to Super Bowls, but the Patriots had levels of success with all three of those coaches. So Mayo's not my first choice. My first choice was the Lions offensive coordinator Johnson or Bananami, the Washington offensive coordinator. He was my second choice. I wanted an offensive guy in here, but got to give Kraft that. He brings in coaches, and they generally bring success to the franchise. So I feel okay about that, even though Mayo, again, is not my first choice. Now, the big deal about really wasn't the press conference. The big deal was what Mayo said after the press conference. And let me just also say, we're not going to talk about Belichick's much more. If you want our opinions on Belichick's departure, go back to last week's episode because we threw the rose petals down at his feet. We praised him. We gave him a proper send off that he deserved. He was awesome. He's a legend. This episode is going to be focused on Mayo. And to me, the biggest thing that come out of those interviews and press conferences was what he said. He basically told us that they are drafting a quarterback. I mean, if you read between the lines here, that is what he's saying. We're going to draft the best player for a position that's very important. You put the pieces together. And what is more important than the quarterback? It's not just the most important position in football, it's the most important position of all sports. I mean, you take away the quarterback and you don't have a quarterback and you just have no chance. So to me, it's even ahead of hockey gold. It's just so vital, so important. So I hope he's not messing around with us. I hope this isn't some type of strategy to throw off the other two teams drafting ahead of him. I really hope their mindset that he's giving us a nugget here, which is there are 3 franchise quarterbacks. We're picking number 3. We're getting one of them. And that's what I'm hoping. And if that is the case, that is a big deal. I know there's a small amount of people that want Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm trying to tell you that is not the way to go. It's just not. The timeline's not great with that. Okay, we get the quarterback next year. Again, I've spoke about this. Then we waste next year because it's his rookie year. You never make it far with a rookie quarterback. If you're lucky, you make the playoffs. No one's ever won a Super Bowl
Yeah,
with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
So,
We know your
so
opinions
to
on it.
me, that's
Okay,
the way to
listen.
go.
Yep. Yep. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. So what are your thoughts on the Mayo sign? You saying he wasn't your first pick, but you're
No.
confident because it's Kraft picking him. That you're willing to give it a try, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. Here's my big prediction that I teased. Buckle down, Patriots fans. Okay. To me, the quickest path to becoming relevant and good again was bringing an offensive guy in for this reason, right? The defense was fine last year. It suffered injuries. It wasn't as good as we thought because of those injuries. They lost their 2 best players. But the offense, if we brought an offensive minded guy in here and he took the quarterback and then he took that $70 million in cap space and basically devoted all those resources to fixing the offense. And even if the defense took a step back next year because we end up losing a few guys like maybe Duggar, which I think safeties are drastically overrated. If the offensive guy came in here and bumped us up to at least halfway through the league, which we were dead last, by the way, then now you're talking. Now you're talking about us being competitive next year. with us bringing a defensive guy in, I understand that Mayo's a smart guy and he's probably going to devote a good part of his resources, draft picks, salary
Yeah.
cap, trades to the offense, but he's going to want to win too. And he's a defensive minded guy. So I still think he puts a little too much emphasis, a little too much into the defense. And our offense isn't going to be, buckle down, Patriots fans. Our offense isn't going to be much better than it was this year because we're probably going to have either a rookie quarterback playing or some has been veteran, as I don't mind the rookie quarterback sitting for a year. Don't mind that. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady sat there first year. So I'm cool with that. But if you have any dreams and hopes of us being competitive next year, I feel like that has gone out the window when we didn't bring in Johnson from Detroit or Bieniemy from Washington. What do you
Yep.
think of that, Matt?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, and read something the other day is that someone's afraid that we haven't even hit rock bottom yet as a team.
We
And
might not have.
you gotta hope that's not the case because, like my dad mentioned, we were historically bad on offense this season. So my dad mentioned we probably won't get much better. That's kind of hard to be as bad as we were. And our defense was great this past year. Um, and even though we did finish middle of the pack in points per game, etc., our offense was doing our defense no favors, right? Short drives, 3-and-outs, bad field position. So I think our defense is still going to
Turnovers,
be sneaky good. Yeah, exactly. Bad field positions with turnovers, everything like that. So
time of
w-
possession. I mean,
we'll see.
the other team had the ball the entire time because the Patriots were just 3-0. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And, my dad talked about some of the quotes that came from that press conference. And one of them here from Mayo is, I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched a lot of these guys yet. Said of the players in this year's draft class, I've been focused on coaching staff and our support staff here, but it probably doesn't need to be said. Just an impact player, quarterback, receiver, tackle, right? Um, we'll see, everybody. One of the things that I do want to share, and this came out today, was that the Cardinals' old coach, you might remember him, named Cliff Kingsbury. Well, after he got fired from the Cardinals, he went to USC and he was the quarterback coach for Caleb Williams. He's currently interviewing with Chicago. Eberflus, the coach, that they're retaining that coach there, and it sounds like they're going to bring in Caleb Williams, quarterback coach last year, as an offensive coordinator for the Bears, if that signing goes through. And that really foreshadows Caleb Williams going to Chicago, and because Kingsbury already knows how to work with him, right? And that's, I think, huge for the Bears, and I think almost a cheat code in a way, because we saw what happened with Mac Jones, year 1 to year 2 when he lost Josh McDaniels. When you have a coach that synergizes well with your young quarterback, it's hard to do much. It's hard to do much better than that in a dream scenario. So good for Chicago, not good for us because it probably means they're going to draft a quarterback. So we'll see what ends up being left there at the third pick for us. Any other items, Dad, on the Patriots?
Please excuse my son. He clearly is under the weather. I mean, like always, the old bull's going to carry the show. I was
What are you
not aware
talking
that
about?
Caleb Williams. I'm not aware that Caleb Williams is an offensive coordinator, but
I
apparently
know.
he's going to be the quarterback. But the point is,
Kingsbury. People know what
he's
I'm
right
saying.
though.
People know.
He's
Yeah.
right. Kingsbury coming in already has, worked with Caleb Williams. It's kind of a match made in heaven for him. It's kind of bad news. Any hopes of them sticking with Fields, which you and I have been rooting for all season, Fields to do well, so they stick with him. Maybe take Marvin Harrison Jr. to go with him. Now, two quarterbacks are guaranteed to slip to us. So unfortunately, it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. I really hope the Patriots don't get cute here and trade for Fields and take
We'll
Marvin
see. We'll
Harrison
see.
Jones Jr.
There's
with
no
that.
way. No way.
Yeah,
No way.
I don't think
So
so, but hopefully that doesn't happen because he's about to come up on his big contract and he isn't that great anyway. So I don't
no.
want Fields, not for what it's going to take to get him. So, but that's
Yeah.
that's good news there from you. Good breaking news from my son, but bad news for Patriots fans there. So looks like Caleb Williams is out.
Yeah. So we'll, I think, move on past the Patriots. As my dad mentioned, I'm under the weather. My brain's not that sharp, so we don't want to linger too long on some of these topics. And we'll move into segment number 2. And the Celtics laid an egg on national television, and we had a whole like almost 15-20 minute conversation about this last week in the podcast where we just flipped out. It was post game of that game. Uh, I was wondering if we were going to record the podcast that night because it was such a big game, and we were both expecting to watch it. But by the time halftime came, everybody in the game was over, and the Celtics didn't mope. They didn't complain. They showed up, went to an emotional game at home against Houston. Their old coach coming in, and absolutely blew the doors off of that Houston team, who has been giving a lot of teams in the West fits. They have started to level out. Yeah, I mean, so they were like second in the West when last time we spoke about them in the podcast. They're currently out of the play-in, so they have fallen from grace pretty far. But they're young. They got legs, young legs. They got some really good talent. That's Sengun kid. We smoked him. Super happy about that. And then the Toronto game, I don't know, was that Siakam's farewell game? Was he playing in that game?
Could be. He did play. Yeah, he played.
So that might have been Pascal Siakam's last game that was his last game as a Raptor. And my dad texted me during that game. Dad, I don't want to steal. I'm going to steal your thunder, but he mentioned how he wants Derek White taking all the shots at the end of the game, like the clutch shots, because he hit that big 3 to just kind of put the game to bed. Game's over, call it. And that was a really big win for us up in Toronto. Like what we've been dealing with. We're at home, away against Indiana, at home against Minnesota, away against Milwaukee, at home against Houston, away at Toronto, at home against San Antonio now. So tomorrow is our first back-to-back home game since late December. So
it's ridiculous.
we beat San Antonio. Wembanyama looks like a pretty good player out there. One thing I say that he seems to lack a bit on like the I don't know. Like I just watching his reaction to his teammates around him on some defensive possessions, because they were blowing a lot of the coverages and we were exploiting it. We were just passing too well. And he just seems like, I don't know. I kind of want that kid to fail. He's, whenever these second coming guys come, ever since LeBron, everyone's been the next LeBron, and he looks like a good little player, but we'll see. I wasn't too impressed with him last night. Any thoughts on those 3 games, Dad, we've had this week that we've taken to the victory line?
I do not agree with that take. That kid's going to be special. Yeah. He's going to be the only thing that's going to stop him is injuries. He's a damn rookie. He's a rookie. He's averaging 20 points a game. You know how hard that is in the NBA? That's hard.
Yeah, so, but also his team is worse this year than they were last year, and they were the worst team in the NBA last year. So
listen, trust the old bull on this. He's going to be special. The only thing that's stopping that kid is injuries. So, like you said, and you know what? Tatum made a comment. The schedule has gotten some attention around the area in Boston sports. And Tatum made a comment saying, they said we have the easiest schedule in the second half. I'm waiting for that bleep to happen.
Yeah.
Because
in the last episode,
he's not just talking about games. Yeah, he's not just talking about games. He's talking about the insane travel. How they're just never on the road consistently, never home consistently. Home, road, home, road, home, road. Unnecessary travel left and right. So, but you know what? That's fine. The Celtics battled through it, and there's a lot of good news, a lot of good things going on. So the little things, again, to this point in the year, we are healthy. We've been pounding that drum all year. Most important. Number 2, we're getting some rest. I had a take earlier in the year, Matt. I really hope the Celtics almost did a rotation of sitting out their stars for a game. And they've been doing that. Almost every game, a star or 2 has been sitting out, and they're still winning. That is good, people. Don't get discouraged if, oh, man, Porzingis is out tonight. Oh, man, Tatum's out tonight. No. We don't care about these games. They're good. They're still good enough where they're winning almost all their games still. When the Bucks sat Giannis the other night for one game and they lost by like 40 points to Cleveland. Okay? we sit 1 to 2 of our stars, and we still usually win. So trust me, people. You hear, oh, Browns out tonight. That's a good thing. Keep rotating those games off. We need that, and we're still winning. Great signs. But the biggest development by far in the past week is the emergence of Holiday. Holiday rising. It's holiday season. He has been awesome. He's been inserting himself more into the offense. He's been on fire from three. The defense is still there. He's cut down on turnovers. It's almost like he's figuring out how to blend with the rest of the crew. And trust me, people, that's a big deal because you're a big Celtics fan. You've been watching any series where we played against him when he was on the Bucks. He was just a handful. He was tough. He drove me nuts. And he's starting to bring that to our team. And when you combine him with the rest of the firepower around, that is a big development, people. So he's been kind of a little bit of a disappointment, points wise, and that is starting to turn around now. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned on the offense what he's bringing to the team, but on the defensive end, what he's been bringing recently has been pretty huge. I don't know if you noticed, but we've been
So
pulling out
good.
the zone a lot more, and they've been putting Drew
Mm.
Holiday in the middle, and he's such a wonderful help defender. He's got such great hands on the defensive end, and he's shoring up so many of our holes. It's a cheat code, right? Because as
Mm.
much as he did struggle against Shea Gildress, right? He struggles against those kind of shifty guards. He's similar to that Marcus Smart who can play those bigs really well, right? Who knows how to cheat on the double team and get the strip on when the guy's got his head turned. So that's been great to see. I would love for us to develop a zone, considering we have such a switchable lineup. Um, Getting into a zone and doing what Spoelstra's been doing to us for years to some of these good teams would be amazing. And being able to execute that zone at a high level, because athletically and experience wise, we could do that like nobody else in the NBA. So that is huge. My dad mentioned he's at 42% from three this year. His last 10 games, he's 42%. And I think one of the other big developments for us is how important home court starts to feel, um, you know, as the season goes on. And I think more importantly, we're feeling that in the 3-point percentage column. Um, like Peyton Pritchard is shooting 4%, 4.5% higher at home from three. Sam Hauser, I mean, well, I'll do Drew Holiday because I have it right here. But Drew Holiday, he's shooting 3%, actually 4% higher at home from three. You know, Derek White, 3% higher at home from three. I don't know what it is about the Garden, but our guys are reliably hitting 3-pointers at home. So, I know we want to rest people, but at the start of the season, I mentioned how unimportant home court advantage was. But this team is really showing us. Sam Hauser, 4.2% higher at home than away, and I'm sorry, than his season average. So yeah, it's great we're being able to pull out these games. It's really great to see Holiday begin to kind of find his role here. And even though Derek White is having kind of a slump, it's been hidden. I mentioned he hit that big three in a Toronto game, but he's had some weird games recently, Derek White. Have you noticed that, Dad, that he's been slumping a little bit?
Yeah, he has been. He had a kind of a 4-game shooting stretch where he just wasn't good. He's just off his game as far as putting the ball in the hoop. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
But like you said, when it mattered most, he buried that huge three. Super tough shot behind the backboard, pretty much in the corner. That's the guy I want to take into threes from now on. But
Yeah.
you make a lot of good points there, Matt. You made. The zone defense that they're playing with, it's really working. It's killing other teams' 3-point percentage, which I love, and Holiday incorporating with that. And you changing your mind about home court because I mean they look like they're on a mission when they're at home, 20-0.
Yeah.
So I love those takes. I tell you I've traveled 500 miles to give those takes my seed. I'm telling you.
I traveled 500 miles to give you my seed.
Lumberjack.
Takes my seed. I'm telling you, those are amazing takes, and
Yeah.
I like it. And
Yeah.
all of that it's true, and it does make me want that home court now. I mean, now
Yeah.
that you're seeing what they can do with it, and the beauty of it all is they got a 4-game lead on the Bucks, and their schedule really does become super soft. Unfortunately, it doesn't come soft for the last 2 months of the year when they're playing bums, just bums
Yeah.
left and right. They get that home court and still manage to load manage all of their guys, keep them rested. What we've been preaching all
Yeah.
year, fresh for the playoffs. Fresh for the playoffs, man. We're gonna have some
Yeah.
fun times.
Yeah. And I think, I think that kind of wraps up our Celtics. One thing I will say is Derek White missed a game last game against San Antonio. That is
Good,
I
good.
know that's in a season and a half. And, I think that's his first game he missed where he didn't have a child. So it's really
Yeah.
good. I was really hoping they would get him some rest. So he had that bounce back game against Toronto, big game, and then they give him a break against San Antonio. I'm excited to see him out there against Denver. And big stretch, like my dad said, between now and the next podcast, we have Denver, Houston, Dallas, and Miami. So, and those last 3 are our road trips. So hopefully we can come out of those games, 3 wins, 3 out of 4. That would be great. We know all those teams get up for us. So yeah, I think that concludes the Celtics segment. So we can move on to segment number 3, the Boston Bruins. So sorry, Bruins fans, that it's been a little bit since we talked about these guys. And it's really tough because the things my dad and I are most excited about with this Bruins team is that young talent in Poitras and Lorai and everything like that. And it's been great to see Lorai getting like meaningful minutes on the defensive end, and not getting, pulled too quickly as of late. But Poitras came back from the World Juniors, 3 games. He had 2 points in his first game, 2 assists. In the Arizona game, he had 8 minutes and then he got pulled. And he hasn't played since, I think, January 9th, which is a disappointment. A lot of stuff that's the kind of stuff we want to talk about. So, in the last handful of games, we've taken a point home in 6 straight games. We've become almost the king of the loser point here, right? A lot of overtime losses, a lot of we had that shootout loss. It was great, to get one overtime win, a couple of games ago, but man, this team must be so tired. So tired. Any thoughts on the Bruins stat? I know you talked about Swayman before we started. You want to touch on that?
Yeah, so a few things. It is disappointing. We were so high on Poitras, wanted to see him develop and want to see him grow. And it's like Claude Julien part 2. Apparently, they buried the kid, wasted a year of contract. Unless I don't know, some injuries happen or they give him a chance. I don't know what he's doing wrong. Every time I see him play, he does nothing but perform well. But he was what I was hoping for was kind of a partial replacement for Bergeron. I thought if he could be 75% of Bergeron, if you played him on a top line, then
50%,
that would be
50% of
amazing.
Bergeron.
I guess even 50, but that's my little segue to rumors going around. It's I don't know. I don't know if someone's talking to Bergeron or if it's just people just want, clicks or whatever, but there's a little bit of, steam picking up with him wanting to make a come back this year. I would absolutely love that. But unfortunately, people, I feel like there is a 1 in a million chance. I am sorry.
Yeah. So what you're telling me is there's a chance.
What are my chances? Not good. You mean not good like 1 out of 100? I'd say more like 1 out of 1,000,000. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
And and it's something where like I didn't even know I wanted it. Like I was content with my life. Everything. I was going to bed every night, waking up every morning, and I was content. Now there's almost nothing I want more than for Bergeron to come back to a first seed Bruins team, well rested,
That'd be nice.
reinvigorated, and just slide him right into the
Yeah.
first line. Perfection line again. Let's just ride this horse into the sunset. Now this
No perfection line. No, break that up. Bring them back. Oh,
yeah, I would
two
love to
lines, at
see.
least 2 lines.
I would love to see Bergeron in a Bruins uniform again. And this, I think the clip that I saw was from the Spit and Chicklets podcast. I don't know where you saw yours, Dad, but
Yeah.
those guys, Barstool Sports, I believe, is they're under that umbrella. Those guys can kind of be full of it, but because I want this to happen, I think they're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, Krejci did it last year, right? We did it with Krejci. Who's to say Bergeron doesn't do it? I would absolutely love to see him on this team. We'll see. That would definitely make the Bruins, the talk of the town. That's for sure. Tonight they beat the Avalanche, a really good team in the West, 5-2. They have answered the call for my dad. My dad wanted more goals, right? He's a young hockey fan who all he cares about is just seeing the numbers go up. He doesn't care about defense. And my dad has had his prayers answered. They're getting the goals that he wanted. I don't know, where are they at in goals scored, Dad, this season now?
They're still not that high up, but another great win tonight. And another thing I talked about earlier in the year was, trading Omar, Swayman. We've got a little taste of what it would be like if Swayman was the number one guy. He's played the last 6 games in a row. Okay. Now, if you don't count, shootouts, which I don't, overtime goals, shootouts, I'm sorry, they don't count. Talking about regulation goals, he's given up, I believe, 11 goals in those 6 games. And 3 of them were on a long road trip where they played the Avalanche and Vegas. He held Vegas to 1 regulation goal in Vegas. Vegas is a
They're
really good
wagging.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And tonight, Holtz absolutely stood on his head again tonight. I didn't get to see the last half of the third period, but up until that point, completely standing on his head again. He's been phenomenal. He's the best goalie in the league. And I'd love to get him on a 3 games on, 1 game off schedule, where that other backup goalie's not bad that we have. The third goalie, give him a game every 4, keep Swayman on a 3-1, get him used to that playoff grind where he's going to be playing every game, and get, a top forward in here from, for Allmark. That's what my goal is. And,
Yeah.
we'll see.
One counterpoint. You're right. We got a taste of what it would be like to have Swayman as the number one goalie in the playoffs, but we did not get a taste of what it would be like to have no Linus Ullmark because we didn't get to see the other guy, right? What's his name? He starts with a B, right?
Yeah, I forget his name too. He's not bad, but yeah, I'm kind of
He's
surprised.
not bad, but
they
he
didn't
hasn't played an
for one of these
NHL
games.
game this season, right? So
Yeah,
we don't know what it looks like when the wheels fall off on Swayman and he needs a break and we slide another goalie. So I don't know, Dad. It's pretty telling to me, and this might be similar to Patra. Maybe that goalie actually has something, but Montgomery's doing what Claude Julien does, where he's kind of going with the vet and not giving the young guy a chance. I feel like 6 games is a bit excessive. I don't know how you don't
yeah,
slide the other goalie in there. Oh man, what is his name?
I agree.
That's
No,
is that, what do you think? Do you think that's an indictment on the goalie or on the coach?
No, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm hoping it's just a test run. They're trying to see what it looks like if they're just having Swayman and how he handles it. He's gotten better with each
Boosie.
game. He had a shutout in there. Get off to a rough start. He gave up, I think, 4 regulation goals to the Avalanche at Colorado. Again, maybe the toughest place to play in a league besides our place. So, and then it's just he's been getting progressively better. Shutout thrown in there. Like I said, holding Vegas to 1 goal at Vegas, super impressive. Tonight holds the Avalanche to 2 goals. So maybe this they did it on purpose. They didn't play the other backup goalie because they wanted to see, hey, if Swayman was our guy for the playoffs, playing every game, what would it look like?
Yeah, and
I can dream.
yeah, I mean the Brandon Bussi is the guy. He's born in '98. I don't know how old that makes him, but he's 11-6-3 in Providence, 289 goals against, 903 save percentage. Save percentage is down from last year. Goals against is up from this year from last year. So I don't know. It's kind of scary. Again, the trade deadline I think is in March for the NHL. We're gonna try and do maybe a spin-off episode or something on that and what's available in the league. So we'll see. I mean, Allmark is cleared, right? I saw that in the news today.
Yeah.
He's cleared to come back. So I don't think we're gonna see Brandon. So
No.
kind of scary, a bit of a bummer because it'd be great to know if we have an expendable asset in Allmark, if Boosie is going to come in here. And the question is going to be for Swayman contract because he's playing good. He's hot. Someone's going to want him and someone's going to pay him. And
Pay that kid. No, we need to pay him. We need to.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So, yeah, I think that's actually, Bruins fans, let us know. Tim, Andrew, any of my other Bruins buddies, do you want to pay Swayman? And what's that number? What's your magic number? What's the top out for you for Swayman? And Dad, do you have a number for your top of your head for Swayman?
I would like to see him. I would love to see him $6 million a year or under. That would be
good.
That'd be great.
Luck. Good luck.
I know. We'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have that conversation.
We can't have Allmark at $5 million a year. We can't have goaltenders taking up like $13 million a year in cap space. We can't do that. So something's got to give. I want to keep Swayman. He's a young buck. He's the best goalie in the league right now. And Allmark can goaltending is at a premium. It's wanted. He can get us a stud, possibly a first line player, definitely a top notch second line player. And I just feel like that's the way to go. And you know what? Okay, that backup is unproven. Who cares? You throw him in every fourth game. And if we lose, we lose. Who cares? We're making the playoffs. We're going to be a top seed. I'm sorry.
All right.
Oh, no, we might lose some games. Oh, look what happened last year. We didn't lose any games. How'd that go? Who cares about that? Do what's right do what gives you the best shot at the cup. Period.
My dad's threshold for adversity when it comes to the Bruins is much higher than the Celtics. Because if you listen to anything, whenever the Celtics lose, the sky is falling, right? He's in his little cave. When the Bruins lose, he's like, whatever, it's okay, no big deal. I don't know what the difference is here or why. It doesn't make any sense. There's something chemical going on up there. But I think that's fine. We can move on to segment number 4. So that is Wilg's Basement Bets. Now, my dad doesn't know what this bet is. Anthony, of course, is going to give us the rundown in his video. But spoiler alert, he's going to be hitching his pick to a wagon of a team this week. So take it away, Anthony.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another week of Wilg's Basement Bets. Won our lock last week with the Rams +3. This week we are going with the 49ers -9.5 at home versus the Packers. 49ers just great at running the ball. Packers are weak against the run defense. I really think the 49ers just beat up the Packers. Think we got an easy cover here. So let's fire it up. Let's get a win and have a great weekend.
Alrighty. So thanks for that, Anthony. And I mean, safe bet because Anthony obviously doesn't buy into the Jordan Love and Packers hype. I think he saw through the Cowboys a lot this season and a lot of his picks. And I think he felt like they were fakers. And I think they showed that. Now the 49ers are the real deal. And I think this postseason more than any, they have something to prove, right? Purdy's healthy. I think they're going to lay the freaking wood on these guys, Dad. What do you think about that pick?
Well, don't bury the lead. He won the lock of the week last week. Okay.
That's true.
So he's back on the winning track. So good job, Anthony, there. I hope he's wrong in the sense that they lose. Because listen, there's 3 teams every year I root for to really lose. And that's the Steelers, Cowboys, and 49ers. I don't want anybody passing us in Super Bowls. Okay. So luckily the Steelers are out, Cowboys are out. San Fran's the last team. I can be in peace. I really want Kansas City out too. If I'm starting to get greedy, but if I have my way,
Yeah.
Kansas City doesn't win a Super Bowl, and 49ers don't win a Super Bowl.
And
I'll
what about the
be a
Bills?
salty, grumpy, happy man.
What about
Bills,
the
I
Bills?
want to win a Super Bowl. Yes, I want the Bills to win the Super Bowl. Teams always backslide. They get complacent. They lose players. Let them have their stupid Super Bowls. They've lost 4 of them, Matt. Who
So you're
cares? You know
telling
what?
So you're telling
Matt,
me it has the opposite
I'm telling
effect
you,
to
they
what
get
you say
complacent.
happens in the NBA, because you tell me in the NBA when they win, it's money for the franchise, it's great for the franchise, it means a
Yeah,
lot. Now you're telling me it's the
it's all
opposite
about
for
the best
football?
players. Yeah,
Okay.
it's what team in
No,
the NBA.
I
It's
want
about
Buffalo
all
Bills
about the
fans
best
to
players.
suffer.
No,
I
want
want
them
that
to.
entire crap hole of a city to suffer and be losers for the
Yeah.
rest of their lives, because they are losers. And you know what? They're also losers for paying $800+ million on their new stadium just to keep their stupid 0-ring team there. Bunch of losers. I screw that owner. And that's one thing I talked about early, like Bob Kraft. As even if he makes a bunch of bad football decisions, he's a good dude and he takes care of us and he doesn't ask us to spend a dime when it comes to keeping the stadium here, keeping the team here. He's an actual fan. So, yeah, no, screw the Buffalo Bills. I hope the Chiefs and the Bills both lose. I don't know how, but hopefully, yeah, we'll see. I would love, just real quick, Dad. Who do you want to? Who
Yeah.
do you? If you could pick any team to win the Super Bowl this year, who would it be?
Who would I want to win?
Yeah,
Probably Detroit.
yeah, yeah. Same. Detroit number
You
one.
know,
Texans number 2. I would not be distraught about the
yeah,
Texans winning one. Yeah.
yeah.
So, okay. I think that's fine. So, I should have got a paper bag out for segment number 5, because here's where the shame comes. My dad and I are gonna talk about our 90-50-10s from early in the year, and I don't know if you guys recall, but we were incredibly high on the Patriots. Um, as we talk about this, I'll try and find what the records were that we picked for the Patriots, because we did review the schedules, the schedule in advance
I
together.
remember.
You remember
Yep,
what our
you
records
were
were?
11. Yeah, you were 11-7. I was 10-6. So bad.
No, you were 10-7 and I was 11-6.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were 11.
Okay.
Sorry, 11-6. I was 10-7. Yes.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh
I
yeah.
had him beating the Chiefs. I just was like, I was riding a high. You know what? I wanted to go higher. I wanted to be a 14-win team. So, I mean, my dad was so high on the Patriots, he has a $200-something Mac Jones jersey in the freaking trash somewhere. So, yeah, I think we could. I'll pull up the report here. Now we have the receipts for ourselves, but we also have the receipts for some of our fans and our betting expert, Anthony. So, all you people who chickened out, listened to the podcast, didn't send us your 90-50-10, you're spared the public humiliation that Tim and Anthony are going to get, in conjunction with
Tim
us.
did well.
Tim did do
well.
well.
It was 2
Tim
out of
did
3.
Yeah.
He did the
that's
best out of
true.
all of us. Yeah.
I didn't want to give that away, but Tim did do well. Tim, smoked my dad in Jeopardy. I think it was Jeopardy. No, it's Price is Right. And he smoked us in the 90-50-10 for the Patriots. So shout out to Tim.
No.
Yeah. So
Lies.
my dad actually called him a cheater. So
he was.
all right.
He was a cheater like you were.
So here we are,
Lies.
the 90s for the Patriots season. So first off, my dad had the Patriots would be a top 3 in points against defense. He also talked about Pro Football Focus. I didn't even look into that.
90% certain is going to happen is the Patriots. I'm not sure as far as what metrics goes, but their defense is going to be top 3. I'm not necessarily
90%.
Yeah,
Okay.
they might,
because it is a clear as day the Patriots were middle of the pack in points per game, 21.5 points per game. The offense did not do them any favors with the amount of pick sixes, and turnovers and poor field positions, 3 and outs, making the defense tired. Any thoughts on that 90-50-10, Dad?
Yeah, I mean they lost their 2 top players. And so they were they were doing really well at the beginning of the
They
year, but
were.
like you said, Matt, you lose your top two players, and then when the offense is just constantly threeing out, and the other team is just getting the ball to them,
Yeah.
all the
In the
time.
fifth. Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Yep. Nope.
The field position's bad because of the turnovers, the time of possession. I mean, the defense is on the field the whole game because the offense can't sustain any drive. So, I mean, hey,
I mean,
I take a big
shout out,
L there, big loss.
shout out to Bill for getting the defense to play as hard as they did, as long as they did in that season. Our defense really stepped up, and despite the offense doing them little to no favors every game. My 90, I had the offense getting around 23 points per game. That was such a bad call. Such a bad call. I thought we were going to finish in the top 12 in points per game. We ended up being 13.8 points per game.
All right. So I went a bit safer for my 90, right? The Patriots last season, we ranked 17th in points scored. I believe that with Bill O'Brien, I believe we're going to be somewhere probably around 22.5, 23. And I think that's going to be a lot of Bill O'Brien and Mac Jones, kind of gelling together. And I think honestly, our wide receiving core has improved considerably, and I really like the line signing. So I believe we're going to take a step up in our offense production.
Historically bad, the worst points per game in the league, tied with the Panthers. Next up, we have Mr. Hilliard, 90% chance. This is his one where he laid an egg right here. We did not make the playoffs. It had just a news flash for all you Patriots fans out there. This was not a bye week for us. We just actually have, was it 4 straight bye weeks? Is that what that is? So
we didn't have a double bye.
No, it's like a triple or quintuple bye. So we did not make the playoffs. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah.
And this is the most ludicrous 90 coming up next from our basement bets expert. Obviously, don't go with his player prop bets, because he had Ramondre Stevenson with 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. Ramondre had 642 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns, no receiving touchdowns. So I wasn't even remotely close. This was before we signed Ezekiel Elliott, I think, when he texted me. So actually, it might have been after. I'm not too sure. But that was...
If it was after, it's really bad. That's a really bad prediction if it's after. Yeah.
So really quick, Dad, which one of these do you think is the worst 90?
The worst?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I think it has to be mine.
It's definitely yours from a standpoint of how much you missed by.
Yeah.
But, I mean, bringing Bill O'Brien in, there was hope, and how Pop Douglas, popped in the preseason.
Booty.
So,
yeah.
God, I mean, I'd have to go with you, Matt, I guess.
All right. 50s. We'll see if we can take another King of the Stupids title here, which is the worst 50. My dad having the Patriots defensive player to win a major award. And Dad, you want to talk to this one?
I feel like I was onto something because I said either Christian Gonzalez, Defensive Player of the Year, or Judon, Defensive Player of the Year. And both were putting up good numbers, really good numbers up until they get injured. So I felt like I had a shot at that. But, we'll never know.
Gonzalez was the Rookie of the Month. And for defense, the first month he played, those first 4 games. Judon had 4 sacks in those first 4 games. So he was on pace. So, yeah, that one's not that bad. Now, here's a frustrating one for me, because I had Mac Jones 3,525 TDs. My dad said, that's too low. That's less than 200 yards a game. Are you kidding me? Come on. And, as he's clutching his Mac Jones jersey and, kissing it because he just thought Mac Jones was going to be the next freaking Brady. And
so for my 50, I have Mac Jones with a 25 touchdown, 3,500 yard season. He had 22 touchdowns in his first year. I think he had 17 last year. He had
I don't like that yardage.
Yeah, well, what, too little? Low?
Too low.
Well, yeah,
that's less than 200 yards a game, Matt.
Yeah, but I mean, last year he had 2,900. So I'll change it to too conservative. I'll do 37.
In his 17 games. Get out of here.
All right, 4,000. 25 CDs, 4,000. 4,000 yards. All right, we'll see. I'm saying 50. I don't have a ton of faith in Mac Jones. I'm not super.
So Mac Jones did not get 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. Mac Jones got 2,120 yards, and he got 10 touchdowns. And I don't even know how many interceptions. I didn't even look at it. I should have looked at it. So yeah, that was a bad 50. I think the tough thing is they got us in camp. They sold us in camp, and we fell for it. We were listening to the rumors. This was the year. This looks so different. This team looks so different. No. Next up, buddy Tim. Here's our first hit, everybody. Patriots win 2 of the 4 against the Jets and Bills. Now, this was before Aaron Rodgers went down. So Tim was confident in us going into the season, just like we were. So Tim hit this one. Shout out to Tim. Next up was Anthony drinking the Judon Kool-Aid, 20 sacks, going for, record numbers here. The red sleeves, that did not happen. He got 4, a little bit of an asterisk because he did get hurt. So similar to my dad's first one. So we won't poo-poo Anthony too much for that one. I think it's clear as day who's the king of the stupid here.
Yeah,
that's your boy.
That's pretty bad.
I'm 2 for 2.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I started this. Why did I start asking which
no
was the worst?
Bueno. No bueno. That is not good.
Right.
And and Mac Jones, third year. A lot of times quarterbacks take a big jump in the third year. So, boy, talk about letdown everywhere. But anyway.
Yep. So we'll move on to number 10. So number 10, my dad's was a 10% chance. And I don't know how this works, right? Because 10% means it was very unlikely to happen.
Very little.
There was no more debate that Mac Jones was going to be the future.
I feel like I kind of won that because I'm saying there was very little chance of it. Yeah.
Kind of, sort of.
I think I get a W for that one. Yeah.
I don't know. I think the fact that you bought a Mac Jones jersey, and it's just my first time bringing up the fact that you have a Mac Jones jersey, because I think it is.
3 years ago. 3 years ago.
The fact that you bought that jersey means that you lost this one. So
listen, I'm not doing. Whoever they draft, that quarterback, I'm not buying his jersey. Not until he establishes himself.
I still got my you're going to finally get Element one.
I do too.
So next up, we got our Patriots top 3 defense. This is what I thought. I guess, I was right. Similar to my dad.
You're right.
Yeah. The way I saw it was we were facing so many great QBs. It was going to be hard for us to put up great numbers. I thought we were going to be good, but I didn't think we were going to be that good. Turns out it wasn't so much the QB's skill level. It was our offense putting their defense in a tough spot. So I was right, but for the wrong reasons. So next up, 10% chance Mac will lose his starting job. So we're back at Tim, and I think he hit this one. So even though
he gets it,
even though he's implying it's a low chance, I think this was a good 10.
Yeah, I do too. He gets a W. He does.
Because I would have given it lower than this. I would have been like, no, this is like a 2% chance he loses his starting job. I didn't think we were going to do this again with the Zappy thing. I thought, Bill O'Brien was going to, bring some stability.
Yeah.
And then we have Anthony. So, Anthony had only a 10% chance to make the playoffs. I don't know how this works. So he had the Patriots having a 1,500 yard rusher with 15 TDs and a 20 sack.
He gets a win.
And he gets a win, but it doesn't make any sense. His 90 and 50 had us being like,
really good.
A rushing juggernaut and a defensive, defensive player of the year candidate on the edge. And then he's like, yeah, no, we're probably not making the playoffs though. So yeah, that's those are the receipts, everybody. It's
not good.
Hopefully this doesn't scare you from sending your 90-50-10s. I promise that I will not do this again. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to do it for every single one. If we have a funny enough 90-50-10, we're definitely going to go back and call people dopes. So, yeah, I think that's probably the podcast. Pretty smooth all the way through. Hopefully I don't have to edit too much here. I hope everybody, shares some thoughts with us. We'd love more fan interaction, more watcher interaction. We always want to, add some insight to the podcast. Dad, any final thoughts?
No, that's it. Please share. It helps us out big time. So share us on Facebook. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good night.
Yep. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.